Hey guys, JC Smith here. I'm back on this 2003 F550. I got the heads on and all that. You might have saw in the last video. You know, sometimes I forget that some people are seeing a video not from the beginning. Like this is part 3 of this truck, so I forget about that. So you may have to go back through, and I'll try and put the videos at the end of this for the whole series, so you can follow along if you want to. Anyway, so we're back into this, and this is gonna be part 3. So I'm ready to put the timing cover on and kind of button the thing up. But first, I just want to go over a few things. This is a perfect opportunity, the only last opportunity you have to check everything, to make sure your tensioner's in place, the guides are in place, everything's right. Don't forget the trigger wheel, make sure the teeth are pointing out. It even says front on the front of that somewhere. It's stamped on there, that's the front. But take your time, get it cleaned up, make sure all the spots where you're going to put RTV, where the head meets the block, and down where the timing cover will meet the oil pan, that little joint right there, and the joint right over there. There's another place over here where the head meets a block. We're going to put RTV there, so you want to make sure everything on this sealing surface is clean. I take brake parts cleaner on a rag, and I'll take it and I'll spray it on the rag and then wipe it down real good. And this is my brake cleaner of choice. This is Johnson's. I love this stuff. This can's empty, of course. I go through quite a bit of them, but it's very powerful. It cleans very good, and it evaporates very nicely. Doesn't leave any residue, and I really like this stuff. It's pretty reasonable too. I usually buy a couple cases at a time. The average job like this, I'll probably go through 6 or 8 cans. You know, I want to make sure the timing cover is as clean as it can be when it goes back together. I don't want any pieces or fragments of anything left in here, so I do my best to clean up best we can. So now, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to go. I got my new gaskets in, the seals in, we're all ready to go. I'm going to get the timing cover on. Once it's on, we're going to go to valve covers, which I've got them all cleaned up and ready to go. We're replacing all the gaskets as we go, so everything will be new, sealed, and should be leak free. That's the goal. That's the hope anyways. So let's get moving. Okay, so now I'm ready to put the damper on. I clean up the surface with a seal rides real good, and then I inspect it for any grooves and make sure there's no wear grooves in it that would make the seal leak, you know, where it didn't have a good sealing surface. If it did, you'd be looking for a repair sleeve to slide over top of that. This one's in really good shape. Now all I got to do is put a little silicone, RTV. Forever in the day we used to call it silicone, I guess, but I just put a little bit right here in the keyway. What I'm trying to do is make it so when I slide this on, it pushes RTV in that keyway and seals it up, so we don't have oil coming out the end of the crankshaft and, you know, leaking all over the place. I'm not sure what procedure is from Ford. I didn't look it up, but I've been doing it like this for a long time, and no troubles yet. So we'll slide it in there, and then we'll use a tool to pull it on. There's actually a tool I use that threads in the end of the crank. It's basically an arbor, and you put this on and you run the nut in instead of pulling it in with the bolt and taking a chance to ruin the threads in the crank. So let's get going. Alright, so this is a tool. You take one of these adapters, find the one that's got the right thread pitch as your damper bolt. You thread it in the bottom of the arbor. I want to thread it in all the way so that when I go to pull it out, it'll pull out this too, and I don't have to fight to get that off. Now, I got the damper started, so you take this, thread it into the hole. I'm going to put the bearing in, and the big nut. A little bit of oil on the thread, so I'm not destroying them as we pull that in. Okay, now we're against it. And now you're pulling on the arbor, and you're not risking destroying those threads of the crank. I just take this nice and easy and slow. It will bottom out when it hits that trigger wheel we already put in, because that's going to be what holds the trigger wheel from moving around. Hi, lady.
Hi.
Just about done here. And then we'll take this back out. Okay, it's bottomed out. Now we'll back that out. The adapter came with it. So now we can take and put the crank bolt in and torque it to spec. Okay, we're going to put the valve covers on now. Got to put a little dab of RTV right here where the timing cover meets the head here. Another spot down there. Same thing on the driver's side, spot there, spot there. So let's get that in. Valve covers are on. I start to route my wires. This is a coolant temperature sensor. It's got to come out of the front, so I want to lay that in here. That's a pigtail that goes to the actual sensor. I want to lay it out here out of the way so it's not trapped underneath there. This goes to the back of the intake, so I want to be mindful of that when I go to put it in. And then I kind of lay the wiring harness on the valve covers each side so it's out of the way, but it's not down too far where I can't get to it. So let's get the intake on. Okay guys, so I got it all together. Valve covers, intakes on, all the injectors are in, the coil over the plugs. I've got the accessories on and the belts on it for the alternator and the power steering and everything. I don't put the fan clutch on or run the coolant in until after I've started. I want to make sure that it runs smooth and there's no miss, there's no nothing weird. So I want to try this now. So we're going to give it a start real quick, see what it sounds like, and then we're going to shut it down because I don't want to run it too long without coolant. Alright, go ahead. Idle coming down a little bit. You got good oil pressure? Okay. That's enough for me testing. Go ahead and shut it off. I just want to make sure that we got our timing right, everything sounds good, and there's no weird noises before I go ahead and button everything up. So now that that's okay, we're going to go ahead and put everything back together, put the fan clutch in, put the shroud in, get my cardboard out of here. You can see how nice my cardboard protects the radiator. It's just a bungee cord running across there. And then, you know, we'll make sure we got no leaks and all that, and recheck the engine oil level because it gets new oil, new filter at the same time. So let's button this all up, and then hopefully that should be it. Should be it on this one. Alright guys, so I got it running, and I got the scanner hooked up, and we're looking at cylinder contribution, and we're all showing zeros, which is really, really nice. Tells us we got some good compression. All cylinders are contributing, which is the whole reason of the test. Contributing the same. Can't seem to do this left-handed. What else was I going to look at here? It had an ABS code, and I went into ABS and I wanted to find the codes of what it had, what was in memory, because it was on as soon as I started it, and I kind of figured it might be a low battery because the battery's dead on this thing. Yeah, look, battery voltage out of range. So we're going to clear the codes and see if it comes back, because this battery's kind of weak in this truck. I may have to put a battery in it. I was hoping not to. Maybe I'll charge it overnight for a little while and see what happens. But it's running really good. And let's see if we got any other codes. System incomplete. Alright, so we need to drive it a little bit. run it for about an hour now. It's running really good. Nice and smooth, so now we gotta let it cool down and we'll get all this cleaned up. Okay guys, so here it is, all finished up. It's sitting here running. Sounds really good, nice and quiet, no issues. Everything's finished up. Let's open up the hood here. Air conditioning's blowing cold. It ain't a perfect truck, but it ain't new either. There we go. All cleaned up, ready to go. Now what to do with it? Can't decide whether I want to put a wrecker bed on or a dump bed. The wrecker bed I have. The dump bed, I don't have one right now, but I'm sure I can find one. That is, unless someone comes along before then and has to have it, in which case, you know, maybe I'll sell it. I don't know. You know, most of the time, I gotta tell you, I really just enjoy these projects. I really enjoy figuring out what's going on, taking them apart, getting them fixed, you know, turning them back into something that's usable. Should make somebody a good truck. So it's come a long way. Should make someone a good truck if I don't use it. I've test driven it a little bit. I temporaried some lights on the back, and it runs and drives good. Everything works, everything does what it's supposed to do, and the air conditioning's cold. It's a nice bonus. So for right now, this is probably the end of this one until I decide what I'm going to do. But anyways, if you guys like what we're doing, give us that thumbs up. We appreciate it. Leave your comments down below, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification button if you want to see all the new videos we put up. And leave your comments down below. We'll catch you on the next one.
I've got a good one.